Hello, mic test. Hello, Felix. Hello, mic test. Alright, can hear myself. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's Facebook live teaching. So as you can see, my camera angle setup is a bit different from my usual setup. That's because I've prepared something nice for you. So if you haven't already, you can come over to mathsheuristics.com/blog to download your notes. Okay, Facebook Live happens every Wednesday at 8 PM, brought to you by Maths Heuristics. Okay, so if you found the previous sessions interesting, please like and share so that more parents and children can benefit from our teaching and sharing. Okay, it doesn't take a lot, just press this button on the lower left corner of the screen. So it's a bit weird for me right now because the setup is a bit new. It's the first time I'm testing it out live as well. So a bit about myself. I think most of you already know about me, so let me talk about something that I'm very proud of. Okay, since 2015, I've joined Maths Heuristics full time in 2014, but since 2015, we have already been preparing for contingency plans for cases such as this COVID-19 outbreak. As you all know, if you all haven't heard already, let me just break it to you. Yesterday night, the Singapore government task force announced that all tuition centers will not be able to conduct lessons with students. So, hopefully, you all have been made aware of that. But today, I can still stay here very relaxed to come here to share with you some of the modeling techniques. The reason why I can do this is because since 2015, we have already been preparing online stuff. Okay? And you can tell from my expression that I'm not lying. Okay, this one is serious one. We've been preparing since 2015 and we are very relaxed about it. Okay? So, for parents who are inadvertently affected by this, I can understand your frustrations as well. We also have our own frustrations, but we will do our very best to help you out in this period. With your trust and with your support, we will definitely make it through this COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic. Not too sure what the differences are, but anyway, it's a small sacrifice we are making for the safety of your children and for the nation. Okay? So today, about the Mastering Heuristics series. This is a set of books that was written by my boss, and today I'll talk more about the model approach to problem solving. Okay, now here's what we will be covering today. So we can use model techniques to solve before and after types of questions without the explicit use of algebra. There are some must-know techniques which are commonly neglected by students, and today I'll also teach you how to visualize maths questions using model drawing. But even better, I'll use manipulatives. So let's begin. Okay. Just refresh. If you don't have sound, please refresh. So let me show you my new setup, something I've been having in my mind for a very long time. Okay. Right. Let's get into the lesson proper. Let me just confirm a few things first. Okay. Now, okay. So for the first question, now this setup is a bit different because my webcam is a bit in the way of this stylus. Okay. So you can see over here that there were, well, let me try to use underline instead. Okay, there were 80 red pens and 170 blue pens in the office. Okay, this was before anything happened. Now I'm trying to look for the camera. Not very used to this setup, but don't have much time to practice because we were ironing out all the details on what to send to parents and all that. So Sally ordered 3/5 as many red pens as blue pens. Okay, 3 goes to red, 5 goes to blue. As a result, there were twice as many blue pens as red pens. Okay, so let me show you all what's going on here. This is your before, this is the change, this is your after. Okay. Right. So let's start with the number of red pens. Can you all see this? Is it big enough? Okay, let me try to catch the angle. Oops. Yeah, is this big enough? Why like that? Emily, let's just say that I'm trying something new. Okay? Do you all see Mrs. 𝗪𝗪𝐿's lesson recently? Camera is blurry. Okay. Alright, so anyway, I've been inspired by her, so let me try out something new also. She has got like more than 2 times of my teaching experience, so I got a lot to learn from her. So this is 80 over here. Okay. Then we have got 170 blue pens over here. Can you all see that? Yes, So now when you buy 3/5 as many red pens as blue pens, can you all see my cursor over here? Okay, if you all enjoy this setup so far, please give me some likes so that I know what I'm doing right or wrong. If you like to see more of this, I'll definitely prepare more of this. Okay, all my preparation for the contingency plans have already been done a long time ago. Okay. Hi, Joey. Yes, okay, so what does it mean when they say Sally ordered 3/5 as many red pens as blue pens? This means to say that the number of pens that was bought by her. Then let's say this is your number of blue pens that you bought. Okay? Then your number of red pens will be 3/5 of it. Okay? This is the number of pens that were bought. Alright? Wording small and blur, cannot see clearly. Okay, wait let me try to adjust first. Maybe I need to get a 4K 60 FPS webcam already. This one considered obsolete. Okay, maybe next time I also need to do something bigger. But anyway, once you put them like this, okay, if you combine them all together like this, okay, maybe let me put it more centralized. You would see that the number of red pens is going to be half that of the number of blue pens. Correct? Or rather, you have twice as many blue pens as red pens. Can you on more lights around or maybe make it bigger? Wait, let me try something. Okay, let me try something. Let me try to bring the camera closer. Okay, thank you all for your feedback. Let me try to do this. How is this? Would this be better? Okay, so what does it mean then? If this blue portion is twice the number of the red portion. Now all these models, think of them as blocks that you can physically move around. Okay, the key idea in using models is to move them around. So what's going to happen over here? If I combine the red ones together, I will have this body like that. Okay, and if I have another copy of that, oops, this one I didn't really draw the scale. If I combine up another one like this, it's going to give me the same exact length as my blue model. Hang on, let me just get rid of this first. Okay, it will give me the same length as the blue model. So what can I do now? If I have two of these red portions and it's the same length as this blue portion, what I want to do, remember, is to compare units with units, numbers with numbers. Okay, key idea is to compare units with units, numbers with numbers. So in order to do this, something I don't see very often is the explanation on how these things can be combined. So let me cut away the 80. Let me put it over here. Okay, guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to shift all the numbers to one side, and I'm going to shift all the units to one side. In case you didn't know, I got E8 for my art. So that's why I'm a bit bad with the scissors cutting. Alright, you all see this? So when we have all this out already, what else can we say next? This one a bit too long. We should use this instead. No, this one is also quite long. What can we say next? We can get rid of all these blocks that are the same. See, the best way to visualize this is to cover it entirely. Okay, and then you would see that over here, 80, 80, and 170, with one more unit on top. 160 and one of these blocks will give you 170, correct? So this is the final model that we will obtain. This is 160 with one unit, and the whole thing will represent 170. So with this in mind, we can say that this one unit is simply going to be 10. Okay? Can you all see this? Maybe I should use a marker next time. Yeah, the answer is 30, Joey. Okay. So nevertheless, okay. Okay, maybe let me switch back to this mode then. Okay. Yeah. So what do we have over here? If one unit here is 10, how many red pens she had ordered would simply be 3 units worth, as we have defined earlier. So this would just be 3 times 10 to give you 30. So this would be your answer. Okay, can I just draw out next time? Of course I can just draw out next time. But would you fully appreciate the idea if I did that? So the key idea I want to say is this. You want to physically move all these things around, because if you notice, some of the questions involve moving the numbers together to one side to compare units with units, numbers with numbers. That is the main point I want to make. But anyway, so if y'all got it, please spam the like button. Okay, let me just check out a few things first. Okay, so the next one, number 2. The ratio of Richard's allowance to John's allowance is 3:2. So now let me move on to a bit more abstract explanation. This was before anything happened. After Richard received $15 and John spent $8, the ratio of Richard to John's money left was 3:1. This is your after. How much money did Richard have at first? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Samuel. So let's draw out all this BCA first. Between Richard and John, this is before. Richard is going to have 3 of these blocks over here. John is going to have 2 of these blocks over here. Then in your after, you have Richard and John. So now the question you must ask yourself in model drawing is this. If Richard is going to receive $15, is his money, is his bar, his total bar length, is it going to become longer or is it going to become shorter? Always think of this, and it will guide you through how the model should be drawn. So if you receive more money, of course your bar has to be longer, right? So it will become longer like this. And for John's case, if John spent $8, should John's bar be longer or shorter? So John's bar will be shorter like this as compared to the previous version. Okay, so this here is 8. Richard here received 15. Hang on. So you would see that these are units, the blue ones are units, and these are parts. Okay? So let's just label them like this: curly whirly and dots. So now the question is, how or what can I do to find out the value of one unit or one part? Because I want to find out how much money Richard have at first, I would want to make my parts the same. Correct? And what are my parts made up of? See, from John, right? John's parts are made up of 2 units, take away 8. So every one of this is 2 units minus 8. Okay? What would you do from here? Okay, now that we've established that every part over here is made up of 2 units take away 8, we can also say that for Ray's amount of money, this would be okay, I'll just imagine this instead. Just imagine that you are going to have 3 copies of this. So overall, what are you going to have? You would be having, you would be having a total of 6 units, and you are taking away a total of 24. Correct? So let's draw this out in the previous model. So over here, these 3 parts can be thought to be 6 of these units take away a total of 24. Which means to say that now if I want to compare units with units, numbers with numbers, I can just compare this difference over here. And this difference will be 15 plus 24 to give you 39. And this is spread out across 3 units. So we can just take 39 divided by 3 to give you 13. But if you look at what Richard had at first, Richard had 3 units at first. So we just got to do 3 times 13 again. But you don't really need to do that. Okay? If you can see far ahead, you don't really need to do that. This alone is good enough because Richard at first had these 3 units over here. Okay? So if you're not too comfortable with the units and parts method that I discussed 2 weeks ago, you can also resort to using this. But The most important connecting point between all these unit transfer method, model method, heuristics approach, everything, is the mathematical thought process in breaking down and defining the problem. This is one thing I notice in a lot of students. If you don't understand what is going on, no matter what method they use, they also don't understand. So it is essential that they are taught how to break down all these problems. Okay? Sometimes it's like some students like to rush through because they want to compete with one another to see who can get the question right more quickly. Okay? But others genuinely have issues with understanding. For this, I have to be patient with them and simply keep on drilling the fundamentals for them. Okay, I don't think there's a way around it. Sometimes you ask them to memorize, the next week they come back, they tell you something else. Okay? Can you repeat the model that you drawn in the new tab? Okay, the model that I drawn in the new tab is like this. Okay, this new tab, we were saying what? We were saying that one of these parts is formed by 2 units take away 8. So if I were to have 3 of these, right? How were they formed? How did they come about? They would have come about from 3 of these, 3 copies of 2 units minus 8. Would you agree on that? Can it be before and after concept? Yes, you can still use before and after concept for this. You can still use BCA for this. But right now, what I'm exploring, what I'm demonstrating here is how to use models to solve the problems for students who prefer that way. There are students, no matter what I tell them, they still like model. Okay, then you just use model and solve. I'll guide you along. But I'm flexible enough to know what they're thinking about. So for number 3, since you all like BCA so much, let me indulge you for a moment. Okay, now Isabel writes 2 numbers A and B on a piece of paper. A and B are in the ratio of 7:2. When A is decreased by 5 and B is increased by 2, the ratio of A to B becomes 2:1. Okay, keyword here is when, which means that the change actually happened. You know what I'm saying? If this were to be if instead, this would be hypothetical. Right? So since you all like BCA so much, let me connect this to the BCA that I was doing 2 weeks ago. So this A and B are in the ratio of 7:2. This is the change. There is an action which leads to a change. Then ratio of A to B becomes 2:1. So here your A will be 7, your B is 2. A is decreased by 5, B is decreased by 2. Ratio of A to B becomes 2:1. So now the question here is this. What kind of change is this? Single unchanged, total unchanged, difference unchanged, or all changing quantities? To answer this, simply look at the change rule. What do you all think it is? Okay, I'll answer you all in a while. But thank you all for your participation. Okay, Michael To. Okay, So look at the change rule. What do we have here? We have different numbers. When you have different numbers, all quantities change. Okay? When all quantities change, what's going to happen? Both of these would have changed, their total would have changed, and that difference would have changed. You have no more repeated identity that you can use. So you have to use units and parts for this. Okay, and recall that units and parts are simply blocks of different lengths representing different quantities. Oh, B is increased by 2. Thank you. Okay. So, let's write our two statements first. 7 units minus 5 will give you 2 parts. 2 units plus 2 will give you 1 part. Find the difference between A and B. So you want to find out the difference in the after, because this change actually occurred. Alright? Okay, thank you all for pointing out. Next time I should make more deliberate mistakes so that you all can point out. If you can catch all these mistakes, that means you can check your work very well. So anyway, you want to find parts. So to find parts, you want to make units the same. Okay, this becomes, remember, when you want to make them the same, you have to multiply everything throughout. 7 units gets multiplied by 2, gives you 14 units. Minus 5 times 2 gives you minus 10. 2 parts minus times 2 gives you 4 parts. Then 2 units gets multiplied by 7, to give you 14 units. Plus 2 times 7 gives you 14, to give you 7 parts. Right? So now that we've made units the same, we want to draw out the models and compare. Okay, so what do we have here? First things first, let's start out with this negative model. The whole bar here is 14 units. You take away 10, you are left with 4 parts. Okay? So now, take note of this. Your 14 units has already been drawn out like this. Agree or not? Your 14 units has already been drawn out. So the 14 units in the next component can simply be extended down like this. You are going to have the same 14 units over here. You want to add on 14, and this would give you a total amount of 7 parts. True? And because this is the repeated identity, you can simply extend this down like so. And once we've got that, we can now compare the parts with parts, numbers with numbers. So we can say that 7p, 7 parts minus 4 parts will give you 3 parts. And this distance over here, okay, would be 10 plus 4. 14. 10 plus 14, sorry. So 1 part will be 24 divided by 3 to give you 8. So what is the difference between A and B now? So it will simply be 2 parts minus 1 part to give you 1 part, which we know to be 8. So this would be your answer. The camera is really blurry. No, now that the camera is facing my face and the screen is showing the workings as it is on my Surface Pro 6, may I know what is the issue? is it that you want to see my face in 4K 60 FPS? If that is the case, I'll gladly go and buy the 4K 60 FPS camera. Okay? No, if I want to do that, but if I want to do that, right, I need to go for proper facial again. Okay, everyone got it? Please spam the like button if you did. Okay, I get your point. I need to get a 4K 60 FPS webcam ready. Can't see the working clearly. Maybe you can tilt your camera, because this is designed for a 16:9 ratio. Tilt your camera. If you're watching it live, it will stream at 720p. It will probably be your computer already. Your monitor has to be able to display up to 720p. Okay? If you're using a very old monitor, that one can't really do much for you. Okay? Yeah, you can use algebra. Okay, things to do. Got one more things to do list. Get a 4K 60 FPS camera. Okay, can. Next one, number 4. A total of 280 children joined Learning School A. Let's move on. And Learning School B. There were 40% as many children in School A as in School B. So after some time, more children joined both schools. For every 3 additional children who joined School A, 2 additional children joined School B. So given that there were an equal number of children in both schools after that, how many children joined School B? So over here, right, here is one confusion alert I want to highlight to you. Why I always ask you to simplify the problem first. Okay, let me just copy and paste this so that I don't destroy this page. Okay. Okay, let me just check whether it's on the screen or not. Okay, it's good. Okay, why do I always ask you to simplify the problem first? Because if you don't, this is what you probably end up with. Okay? You allocate the units like this. 40% change to 2/5, 5 goes to School B, 2 goes to School A. This is your before, okay? A and B, before, change, and after. This is a confusion alert, by the way. Don't write this down. Don't write this down. Confusion alert. So you probably write something like 2 units, 5 units here. Then after some time, more children join both schools. For every 3 that join School A, 2 will join School B. So you get 3 parts and 2 parts like this. And then you see that there was an equal number of children in both schools after that. Then you probably have like 1 block and 1 block over here. Here, if you don't simplify the problem, you may end up with something like this. Okay, you may end up with something like this. So, you may end up with something really complicated and get a mental block. Okay, not kidding, this kind of thing really happen, especially under exam conditions, when you are all stressed out. Okay? When you are like thinking, I must get that A star. I must get that A star so that I can become someone. Okay? really, simplify the problem first. There's no point in rushing to get the problem wrong. There's no point in that. So this is the reason why I always ask you to simplify the problem first. So anyway, how do you deal with percentage? Okay, 40%. Think of 40%. If you haven't checked out the units allocation video, do go and check out the first video of the year. Okay, 40% is 40 blocks out of a total of 100 blocks. So this becomes 2 out of 5. So this 5 here goes to school B, 2 goes to school A. But let's simplify first, because we know that at the beginning, there was a total of 280 children. They were distributed in this manner. So you want to connect the same pieces of information together first. When you have done this, okay, let's just draw a simple comparison model for this. 2 blocks goes to A, 5 blocks for B. Total 280. How would you find out how many A has? How would you find out how many B has? Correct? It's not that difficult. Do not despise models. In fact, they are supposed to help you to visualize your information. Okay, some of the gifted kids don't need that because they have their own way of processing information. Okay, I can totally understand that. So we take 280 divide by 7 to give you 40. So A has got 2 of these 40s, B has got 5 of these 40s. So 2 times 40 will give you 80. 5 times 40 will give you 200. So we can say that A has got 80 at first, B has got 200 at first. Now, okay, so after you simplify this grandmother story, the main idea, the main essence that they are trying to tell you is that A has got 80 students, learning school B has got 200 students. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so between A and B, there's a before, there's a change, there's an after. Yeah, you can use model, Geraldine. The funny thing is, when I use model just now, all of them ask me to use units and parts. Okay, I use units and parts. So, it's very hard to please everyone. Okay, I'm doing my best. I'm only just one person. Please understand my constraint. So for every 3 additional children who join school A, 2 additional children would join school B. Now we have got an equal number of children. So there's one other way that this can be done. Rather than to write one part and one part, if you know that they are equal, we can write this out straight away. But now this is a bit more advanced. Okay, but if you are able to see it, then by all means go ahead and do it. I want to make this known to you. Whether you can use it or not, I'm not too sure. But with practice, at the end of the day, at the end, you can do it too. So if these two have the same, represent the same amount. Okay, let's just look at the after between A and B. A would have 80 over here. You add on 3 units like this. Well, for B, you have 200 and you have 2 units over here. Okay, we can now compare your units with units, numbers with numbers. We can now say that 1 unit would just be 800, 200 minus 80 to give you 120. So if 1 unit represents 120, we want to find out how many children joined school B. So I think it's quite obvious. 2 units would be 2 copies of 120 to give you 240. Okay? Okay, so to answer a few queries, Andrew Fu is asking how do you do percentage. Now please refer back to the very first Facebook Live of 2020. In there I will cover units allocation. Okay, it's not very difficult. It's just a different representation of fractions and decimals. If you're in P5, you would have learned fractions and decimals. So it's just a different representation of that. Okay, so hopefully, I think I've learned something new tonight about the camera setup and all that. Okay, hang on. So today, let me present to you. Can't come to class? No problem. We also cannot conduct a physical class with a student inside here. So it's not a problem, because we got it all sorted out. You can join us from the comfort of your home. So these are the primary math classes that we have. Online Primary 3, Online Primary 4, Online Primary 5 and 6. So you'll be taught by our team of math instructors. Okay, let me just type out the link real quick and you can sign up for 2 complimentary trials. Now if you have already received these trials, we cannot give you another one. But it is for new friends who would like to see our true power. Jordan, how is it? Alright. Hang on, let me type the comment in full reply. Okay, so this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we have to offer. 5 years in planning. There are 2 ways that we can view this whole situation. The first one is the end of the world. The second one is, okay, this is a new challenge. Come at me. Whatever you have, coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever new virus, just come at me. I'll just take you on. It's a perspective of things that will either empower you or disempower you. Now this whole situation has been stressful for us, but I've also taken it to be quite exciting. Mr. Sunny teach P6. Yes, Mr. Sunny will be teaching the P6 for the modular classes. Okay, for the teach art that we are working with, I will be teaching the P6. How long is the class? Okay, let me just try to answer a few queries. Okay, Emily, good job on that. Yeah, you definitely used Mr. Sunny's teachings pretty well. Who teaches what level? For teach up, I will be teaching primary 5 and 6. Okay, for this platform, what is the max number of students? Okay, technically speaking, right, Zoom itself can cater for a lot of students. Our platform itself can cater for a lot of students. But we have to optimize the number of students so that our attention can be concentrated on them. Can you show me example 2? Not too sure what happened. The thing switched off on its own. Hang on, let me try to see if I can find it. Oh, I can find it. Okay, so this would be your answer, by the way. Because it's 3 units worth. Okay? So if you have any questions for me regarding the platform, I'll be happy to take them now. Alright? So, I don't think things will go back to the way they were anymore. Well, the good old days are over. It's a new dawn. But hopefully everyone, please stay safe. Okay? I don't know how long this whole crisis is going to last. But like what I said at the beginning before, right? It's a small sacrifice on our part to keep your parents safe. Okay, eventually if everyone does their part in fighting this COVID-19 situation, we are going to get through this just like how we got through SARS. Okay? Yeah, Emily, I can use. I have that also. So it's just heart-to-heart talk right now. All the entertainment venues have been closed down. My favorite arcade, I also cannot go there anymore, I think. So the only thing I have left now is to focus on my work. And when I focus on my work, I think a lot more greater results will come out of it. Stock on food. Good thing you stock up on food, because if you stock up on toilet paper, I really wonder what's going through your mind. I was not there when SARS happened. Yeah, okay. For SARS, right, let me just briefly talk about it. What happened was in 2003. I think it was around March or April. This whole SARS outbreak thing came about. It lasted for about 6 months. There were, I think, about 650 deaths, if I remember correctly. It was a highly lethal virus with lower rates of infectivity. That's why the whole thing died down quite fast. 6 months. But now for this COVID-19, it has a higher rate of infectivity. Okay, so you don't know who can transmit to you. And it's a very high risk issue. Okay, the way the virus can die is if the host dies or if the host recovers and recovers fully. So what happened for SARS is that most of the virus died down with the host and some of them recovered, and it didn't spread out too much. But for this, right, it keeps on spreading and spreading. The economic damage that it's doing is a lot greater, even though the lethality rates isn't as high as that of SARS. But given the absolute number, right, although the percentage is lower, but because it infects such a large base, that 3% of lethality from COVID-19 will far exceed that 10% lethality, 10-15% from SARS. Okay, this part is on equal concept, so please go and read it up. Are you intending to have online PSLE revision? We'll see about that. Right now, our main focus is to protect our paymasters. Let me put it bluntly. Okay? It is to protect the interests of all our paymasters. People who have been looking after us, people who have been trusting in us, people who have been supporting us. That is my main priority. Yeah, it's said that there were 2 deaths, but I think it's a bit inevitable given their conditions, because the way the COVID-19 works is that if you have underlying conditions, your chances of experiencing a fatality is significantly increased. No, it's not so much about SARS, COVID-19 and all that. It's more like I want to give you all encouragement in this time of crisis. You know what I mean? Can we move on? So I don't know how long this thing will last, but anyway, we'll just take one step at a time. Alright? So hopefully things will be fine tonight. Yesterday there was a spike of 17 local cases. So this is the worrying part. If the numbers are controlled on the local case, if it's like something like 5, 6, 9, then goes back to 5 again. This one is quite alright. This one is like controlled. But if there's a sudden spike and there's another spike, there's a chance that things may have gone out of control. So if you have if you can, right? Okay, most of you actually can download this app. It's called 𝐻𝐴𝐳𝐶. Okay, I'm doing free promotion for them because I think the task force team deserves it. Okay, 𝐻𝐴𝐳𝐶. The idea here is it will locate you, it will send out Bluetooth signals, it will have your location all the time in order to determine whether you were in contact with someone who had the virus. Okay, it's more of that. The lesson is about to end, but right now I just want to do some heart-to-heart talk. In university we call it HTHT. Well, this is the first time I'm doing this kind of thing. Download this app if you can. Okay, most of you don't need to be scared because your location can be compromised, but it's for a good cause. Okay, I've switched on my location since 15th of February. For this very reason, if for some reason I don't remember where I've went and all that, I can always just give them my data. Easier for them to trace who I've been in contact with and all that. We're bonding together in the heart-to-heart talk. What is so special? The special thing about this is that it will alert you if you have been in contact with someone. It will also allow the authorities, if touch wood, if you get infected, they also have your movement data so that they know where to isolate, where are the hotspots. With more data, they can fight this virus more efficiently. Okay? Maths lesson with heart-to-heart talk. Let's just say that I haven't had entertainment for several days really because of this issue. Haven't met my friends also, but I hope they are well. Haven't caught up with them because of this COVID-19. So there's a lot of pent-up feelings I have also. Okay, but anyway, it's 9 o'clock already. Hopefully you've enjoyed this session. Do sign up for this full power version. First of all, I'm not going to ask you for your credit card. It's not like a particular video website that asks you for a 1-month trial and asks you to key in your credit card details. I don't do stuff like this. Okay? So this is Kevin from Heuristics signing off. See you all soon, man. Good night.